the board first thanks to Spencer Prigge. 2 out, 2-run hit, but Shanice Delce really stole the show in the circle for Arkansas. 12 strikeouts on the day, didn't walk anyone, and really leading Arkansas to the 3-2 win.
Yeah, it's amazing. She was flirting with a no-hitter through 6 innings, just one little dribbler back to the circle for an infield hit. Arizona got the 2-run homer from Netz in the 7th, who was also the losing pitcher, even though the run that scored against her was unearned in the bottom of the frame. But Arkansas had some dramatics. And let's take a look at Delce after we recap the Prigge base hit. This was the scoring that Arkansas thought for the longest time Dorian might hold up.
It wasn't the hardest hit ball of the day, but it was one of the most important. But Shanice Delce getting all the run support she needed, really moving the ball north and south, keeping Arizona off balance at the plate. Nearly got herself out at the top of the 7th inning, but Devin Netz coming up with the big 2-run home run after the double by Scoop in on a ball that just didn't quite break enough. But in the bottom of the 7th, Arkansas got runners on, and Hannah Gamble, the emotional leader of this team in her junior season, taking a pitch right back where it came from, lining the walk-off single as the Hogs take it 3-2.
That's a smile from here to BB. Arkansas got the win, but we're right back at it in game 2. And Robin Herron, the left-handed freshman, will be in the circle.
Robin Herron, her velocity has really picked up since getting on campus. She came in around 60, 61. Now she's spinning it in the mid-60s. She does spin it well, has the ability to move the ball both horizontally and vertically. She'll throw a rise, curve, and change. But something that Courtney Deifel says about Herron is at this level, she can't afford to take a pitch off. She's going to have to be able to trust her team to play behind her, but she threw really well in the Clearwater Invitational.
Yeah, she sure did, including a game against Indiana where she had a 12 strikeout performance in the shutout. No surprise, these lineups look very similar. Behringer, Kennedy, Skaggs, Skupin, Netz, Dimmler, Pacho, Beal getting the start at short, then Altmaier for head coach Caitlin Lowe. Her second year for Caitlin Lowe, taking over for Mike Candrea. We visited with her for about 20 minutes today, and I texted Arizona baseball coach Chip Hale, a good friend, and I said, "You're now my second favorite Arizona head coach." Of course, I also sent Chip Hale a text about a week ago and said, who was the moron who scheduled Tennessee for the opener? And then the Wildcats won, so I had to follow up with a bear down to give him his props and the Cats for taking down Tony V and the Vols.
That's something that's always going to make Diamond Hogs fans happy, too.
Yeah,
they got a heated rivalry over the last couple of years.
Yeah, they enjoyed that. Hey, we're ready to go in game 2 on a cool but clear night. And the pitch to Behringer misses for ball 1. Behringer came into this doubleheader riding a 10-game hitting streak, and she had the infield single on the dribbler back to the circle to extend it to 11. Sends one in the gap to left center field. Everybody get out of Johnson's way. She will catch him from gap to gap. And that's the first out.
Johnson has just such incredible speed in center field. She eats up ground. She's got a quick first step. She reads the ball so well, and it's going to make it so difficult for opposing hitters to get balls down into the gap because she has that big play ability to take those hits away.
Sure does. There's one out for Dakota Kennedy, hitting .241 on the year. Kennedy 0 for 3 in our first game. Barely have time to eat a sandwich, and these teams are right back at it.
It's probably the fastest I've ever eaten a hot dog in my life.
Not for me, but you do what you have to do to get ready. So Herron will float one a little bit up and out to Kennedy. There's some serious left-handed bats in these two teams in the lineup.
Arizona has been known kind of for the lefty short game, but they've really kind of expanded that lineup to include pure lefty power. And Herron's going to have to be careful.
That's painted on the outside corner. New umpire here in game 2 behind the plate. Leo Bowen Dom. Wyatt Bowers at first, John O'Melia at third. So different umpires, same broadcasters. These umpires will get a lot of work this weekend. A lot more games to come. And that didn't miss by much.
A little bit up in the zone. Herron's going to need to be careful because that had a little bit of an off-speed feel to it as well. If she floats that in the center of the plate to these Arizona hitters on an off-speed, there's a likely chance they're going to take it out into the outfield.
Hard hit, base hit into center. Herron had no chance to get down and scoop it, and Rio couldn't knock it down either.
And back to the conversation where Courtney Deifel said Herron can't afford to take a pitch off. She also said that Herron is going to throw really good pitches at this level, but they're going to get hit really hard, and that was an example of that there because that ball was low in the zone. That was just a better piece of hitting by Kennedy.
Here's Allie Skaggs, and you see her paint on that outside corner to Herron. 2 Skaggs to get strike 1. Florida native, the Tampa product, got to pitch not that far from home this past weekend. Fouled back and out of play.
And Brett, it already feels like Arizona's a little bit more locked in at the plate than they were against Shanice Delson. Certainly no discredit to Herron, but the balls coming off the bat, even the foul ball, sound just a little bit more like solid contact.
They certainly made better contact there last time through against Shanice either. That's a good changeup. Throw to second base, not in time. Well, I thought that pitch was close to being a strike, and Foreman landed on top of Kennedy. Is Christina okay?
Well, no, she's still down. I didn't see anything initially and in the collision that looked like a potential injury. That was a good decision running by Kennedy. She recognized the changeup out of the hand and broke the bag. You see how quickly she gets off. She's going all the way. She doesn't even look. There's the high throw, and it's the back leg of Foreman. That left leg as Kennedy's coming into the bag that it looked maybe got twisted under a little bit awkwardly. It's tough to tell from an angle from home plate, but
yeah, she was just wide on her base, so the base runner to go through her, and then there's a little bit of push and not much give, and she's trying to.
And when you have a base runner coming in over your ankle, there's not a whole lot of space for your leg to go either.
Well, the Cats have a runner in scoring position. With a count of 1-2 to Skaggs, and I think we're ready maybe to resume. There's the base runner, Kennedy. Here's the 1-2.
It's a good waste pitch up in the zone. Is a good idea. Try to get Skaggs swinging at something up and out of zone. Maybe an easy strikeout to get to 2 outs, but Skaggs, a disciplined hitter, not going after that.
Lefty's next pitch. Hit a mile in the air to right. Hoffman, shy of the warning track, will make the catch. Kennedy will tag and go to third. And again, worth repeating, it's rare to have a winless day where either it's not helping high fly balls or knocking them down, but that was up there a long time before Hoffman made the play.
It was one of my favorite things about moving from the outfield to the infield. I didn't have to wait quite as long, and then anytime I had to go back out there, I'd always get nervous because there's just too much time underneath it, but Hoffman did a good job getting under that ball.
Here's Skupin. She'll foul one back towards the concourse. Carly, 4 home runs this year, coming off 19 last season. She had the big swing for me, the 1-out double in the 7th against Dels that made it a possibility for a comeback. Then Nets had the homer to follow, but Skupin fouled off several pitches before she got the double. She had struck out her first 2 times in. My goodness, that one had some drop and change in velocity.
That was a tough pitch to handle. It was moving slower in speed and moving side to side, but I agree with you. Skupin's at bat was the linchpin for Arizona in the top of the 7th inning. It was a lot like Hannah Gamble's at bat in the bottom of the 7th inning. Fouled off a bunch until she got something she liked.
2-strike pitch. She was so far in front of that. No chance for Skupin. Herron gets the K, changing speeds and working around a single and a stolen base. We have played a half inning here in game 2. And the Razorbacks coming into bat. Razorbacks ready to bat in the bottom of the 1st. Aisha Silva's in the circle. Tucson native pitching for the Cats.
The lefty freshman going to throw in the low to mid 60s. Silva mostly side to side movement, lots of east to west, lots of painting the corners, but she's not afraid to work it up in the zone. Head coach Caitlin Lowe says it depends on the day about what she feels like is her strength.
Here's Reagan Johnson, takes strike 1. I think you kind of like that for a pitcher, when you might have a little different scouting report depending on the day and the field. Corner is in against the speedy Johnson, who slaps one back and out of play. Reagan struck out but reached on what was ruled a pass ball in the 7th and then scored the game-winning run on the Gamble ball to the gap. The walk-off. There's the lineup for the Hogs. That looks similar, although Gamble batting second rather than 5th here in game 2.
Always a good idea to try to go up on the zone on a lefty slap or try to get them to pop it in the air. That's always an easier out than trying to throw out someone who's speedy.
Silva's next one. Cut on a missed. Down on strikes goes Johnson to begin the bottom of the 1st inning.
And I know the scouting report says low to mid 60s, but that ball definitely sounds like it's popping the glove a
Sure
little
does.
bit faster than that.
Hannah Gamble gets a nice round of applause after a walk-off hit in the home opener. Moves from 5th to 2nd in the lineup. Homer and 7 knocked in. Sometimes if you want to get a hitter that you know has big-time numbers going, you put her in this spot where you're going to have the 3 and 4 hitters to follow to keep getting pitches rather than maybe pitched around, because I felt like there were times where Nets was very cautious with Gamble, but Hannah beat her in the bottom of the 7th. Did she check in time? Someone's got to have an appeal. There it is, no swing.
It was similar to the pitch before. I think Gamble did a little bit of a better job holding up. And to your point, yeah, I think you can do that. You can move them a little bit higher in the lineup, and you put more power hitters behind them. You have to throw to a hitter like Gamble as opposed to a situation like in the first game where you could kind of pitch around her strategically.
And you always feel like with Gamble, the more pitches she sees, the more eventually she's going to win the battle. 3-1, fouled back. And I mean, she was right on that one, but pitch above the belt and fouled to the screen.
Well, that was exactly what happened in the bottom of the 7th inning of the first game. She fouled off 2 pitches down the right side of the field, a pitch down the left side of the field that was nearly caught by Kennedy and dropped. And then later in the at-bat, she came back with a curveball that didn't break far enough on the plate and was able to hammer it out into right center field.
3-2, hammered to the left for a base hit. Arkansas is first. It's a good point, though. Gamble was almost retired on that fly out in foul territory to left, but the ball that wasn't caught gave her a chance then to win the game, and of course hugs everywhere for this softball team.
Those are the softball gods. If you give teams an extra opportunity, especially at this level with 2 offenses that are as potent as Arkansas and Arizona, somewhere down the line you're going to pay.
I'm sure that was the feeling in that Arizona dugout, not to speak it into fruition, but saying, oh no, let's not give her another swing. Here's Hedgecock. Ryland walked twice and had a base hit in a 1-for-2 game 1. So she's in double figures in walks. She's in double figures in hits with an average of 481. Another pitch that was a little bit elevated. Otherwise, she was going to make good contact.
You mentioned the walk numbers in addition. You know, at this level, these players at Arkansas and Arizona as well, they don't go stat hunting. It all matters about getting on base and being able to get in and produce runs. It doesn't matter how you do it.
And not stat hunting, pitch hunting.
And Arkansas is always pitch hunting.
They're trying to launch and do damage. I'm sure that's on the scouting report for Silva. It's high again.
Silva really trying to work up and in on the zone. She had about 3 pitches that were right in under the hands and the armpits of Hannah Gamble and trying to work the same area to Hedgecock.
I would suggest not missing over the heart of the plate. She got that up, and that's why she gets the pop-up rather than a fly out. Got that pitch elevated enough, and Skaggs makes the catch. 2 gone. I mean, there is a fine line between being at the belt when a hitter can launch and being about 5 inches higher where you just can't get underneath that pitch enough.
Well, going pitch hunting, if it's up in the zone, you're always looking for something that you can elevate. That one, just to your point, a little bit extra up. Had that ball been about 2 inches down, that's a launch pad ball.
Here's Casey Hoffman. Struck out twice in an 0-for-4 game 1. Drives one to right field, and this will hang up for Dimler. I thought off the bat maybe Casey was going to launch. Did square it up, and the inning ends. Arkansas with a base hit. They do not score. We played an inning in game 2, off and rolling. The Wildcats and the Razor shutout.
That's already been a hallmark of this Arizona offense early on, not saying die and being positive all the way through, regardless of the results of their at-bats.
For Arizona, they've hit 9 home runs this year. It's been a number, you go back through the record books, been kind of a hallmark of their program's DNA, and the pitch in there for a strike. Hit almost 2,500 home runs going back to 1982. That's the most of any team in history. They've had 7 seasons with more than 100 home runs. Arkansas had their program best 109 last year.
That's incredible.
Really? That's a wild number. I mean, you're playing a schedule where that's about almost 2 home runs a game.
Over the course of 40 years, yeah?
Yeah. Check swing, liner caught by Halverson. She had a good break to her left. Otherwise, that might have snuck inside the chalk and been fair.
A lot of times those little knucklers are the hardest balls to catch because you read them and then you kind of get crossed over because they're slower than they look off the bat. She just did a good job watching that all the way into the glove.
You know, when you look at that defensive alignment right there, the only player who's a returner from last season in a starting lineup was Gamble when she was playing third last year and catching now.
You wouldn't know it by the way that Arkansas plays defense. Foreman had the miscue, and they did have a little bit of a communication issue as well, that Dels and Halverson, who was going to cover the bag and coming up forward. But so far, it looks like a fairly cohesive defense, which is what you want at this point in the season.
Dimler waves and misses. One of the sophomores on this team going up against this freshman pitcher for the Razorbacks. It's a bunted foul. Arkansas is now lefty heavy, right, in their pitching rotation or depth chart?
3 lefties, 2 righties on the staff this year. A lot of new faces. Mary Half held it down for years. Shanice Dels coming in, and there's going to be a battle, and it looks like right now Robin Heron is establishing herself as the number 2 behind Dels.
Wave and a miss. Good pitch.
And with pitches like that, it's no surprise why pulling the string on the off-speed, moving up and down. That was an off-speed pitch that started low and just fell out of the zone. And watch how far in front Dimler gets. She is all the way out in front of her front foot as that ball is crossing the plate. She had no hope at catching up to that changeup.
And that's what Skupin did to end the first. I mean, that swing was almost completed, but before the ball actually got to the hitting zone. Here's Pacho, Tucson native, Ironwood Ridge High School.
Arkansas has had a penchant for having pitchers that can throw that changeup so effectively and have a significant speed difference. You think about Mary Half's changeup was devastating.
And with Half, she was a rice ball pitcher, so you'd see that changeup high coming out of her hands, and then when you were getting ready to swing, all of a sudden it had that change in velocity and the drop.
Right. It's kind of similar to what we saw from Dels, although Dels's movement down's harder than what Half had.
Pop-up, first base side. Will Halverson have room? I think she's going to have plenty. She'll make the catch. Couple of putouts this frame. And the Cats go in order. Inning and a half in the books here in our nightcap. Halverson, Foreman, and Kramer due up.
Razorback fans, it's time for the Reese's Race. Direct your attention to the left field corner. As we have Landry, Kay, Bailey, and Lillian. In our Reese's Race, foul full of alcohol, the winner going home of the Razorback softball prize.
I mean, it was crazy. Starting a team with a whole bunch of 18-year-olds trying to compete against 22-year-olds who've, been through it for 4 years is definitely tough. Trying to lead your peers, trying to just navigate college in itself, let alone, college softball, D1 college softball in the ACC, like a rising conference. So it was definitely tough. A lot of struggles, but winning the ACC championship, off of 5 years was awesome to do. And coming to a school like Arkansas where there's a legacy of greatness and a history of just winning is something different, but I'm super excited and super grateful for both opportunities.
Christina Foreman, how about a legacy of greatness where winning is something different, and excited to be here. Halverson took a ball, and again, I think that's so unique to be on a team with 18-year-olds in a startup program, then to win an ACC championship. Now coming into a program that's won back-to-back SEC championships, hoping for a third.
It's getting both ends of the spectrum, and credit to Duke, just starting that program in 2017 and already playing their way into a conference championship. Make no mistake, the ACC is a tough league. Obviously, I'm partial to my alma mater, Virginia Tech, but you look at Virginia's been good. They have a history of being good. Florida State, obviously, fantastic program down in Tallahassee. So to be able to compete on that level and take that experience and learning what it takes to build a championship there and applying it to the SEC, which in my opinion is a better league top to bottom, you're getting both sides of the spectrum.
No, it is. It's a fun aspect. And for Halverson, she's coming out of the Summit League, which is a little bit different. But hitters hit, and she's put up 42 career home runs. I will say Duke's probably not going anywhere. They've got the Dukes, the travel team. I think Rio was even a part of that, where you see them on the circuit, and I'm on that youth softball circuit, and you're seeing some incredible talent. And not every one of those is committed to Duke, but a lot are.
Well, you're much more plugged into the travel circuit than I am these days.
Plugged into too many circuits. That one crushed, but way foul over near the tree. I need fewer things I'm plugged into. Nonetheless, Halverson, one of those that has 2 years of eligibility, so unlike Foreman, she has this year and next. Three-two pitch. Fouled back over the press box, out of play.
Technically, I think I still have a year of eligibility, although I think I'm a little too old to use it at this point.
I think anybody could use it at this point. I mean, I think if you went to the NCAA and said, I really want to play a 6th year, they'd say, sure.
I don't think my shoulder wants to play a 6th year.
No, that's the problem. Payoff. Hey, Halverson had a pretty good sequence. Couple of hard foul balls. Took the walk from Silva.
A sign of an experienced hitter being patient enough to let that one go. One final thought on my shoulder. Sydney Parr and I actually went out and threw catch when we were calling the
right?
Arkansas State High School Championships a few years ago. She was fine. I needed to ice for like 3 days after that.
A little snap, crackle, pop.
It was not good. It was more like a lot of snap, crackle, pop.
Here is Foreman. I took my 21-year-old over Christmas break, and we're playing catch, so I'm trying to match him. He's playing long toss, I'm playing long toss. He wants to go fast like an infielder, I'm going fast. And by day 2 took a little longer to warm up for this old man. But I can play through some pain now if I have to. That's ball 2 to Foreman. She's playing through some pain because she got rolled up on at second on a stolen base attempt from Kennedy, but obviously stayed in the game.
Took a couple of awkward steps after that. She looks like she's fine. She doesn't look to be favoring anything as she's standing in the box.
She'd really love to lace the ball to the gap and see how it feels heading towards second.
That always makes it feel a little bit better when you can leg out an extra base hit.
A lot less pain when all of a sudden that's good running and not bad running. She's a fun young lady to talk to, though. I was really impressed with Christina for some of our preseason interviews. We got a lot of clips to come from some of these regulars in the lineup. 2-0 pitch, hard hit, base hit. Good beginning to the Razorback second inning. A walk to Halverson, a single by Foreman.
Silva continuing to try and work up in the zone against these Arkansas hitters. Foreman just getting on top of that ball, driving it into the ground. And watch this pitch elevate. Foreman using her hands to stay at the top of the zone and catch the top half of the ball and just drive it into the dirt. She hit it hard enough to scoot it underneath the glove at third of Behringer.
Quick visit to the circle. I think Arizona, a little bit like Arkansas, as the fans call the Hawks. You have 5 pitchers. They provide different looks. You've got some youngsters where, in a sense, you really want to find out what they have before you get to conference play. But for both teams, their non-conference slate is so difficult that you aren't throwing them out there without the concern that of what may happen against a power team.
Well, for these 2 freshmen that are in the circle today, and you look at Arizona and Arkansas with the established history of the postseason, both coaches aren't just looking for pitchers who can step up to be that number 2 in conference play. They are looking for that second-day starter in, in a regional or a super regional. And so to get that experience against an Arkansas, against an Arizona, that already gives you that established experience. When you get to the postseason, these freshmen are more like sophomores or juniors.
Kramer's 0 for 3, but she blisters one to right. Dimmler in her tracks will make the catch. Ball does not seem to be traveling well to right her. We've had a few even in this game that off the bat have sounded good but haven't carried. So maybe if the pitcher's getting in on the hands or off the edge of the bat.
That's the second one, and they both come off of lefties, which indicates to me that that ball's tailing just at the last minute in on the hand. So while they look good initially, there's just not as much power behind it. The lefties aren't getting that kind of barrel whip that you would normally expect on the inner half.
Here's another lefty. Spencer Prigge. She knocked in a pair of runs early in game 1. She was 14 when she was first recruited by Arkansas. Big swing and a foul back. Summer going into her freshman year, she grew from 5'8" to almost 6 feet tall. That's going through a whole sequence of shoes, and clothes, and everything else. Yep. Nothing in 2 to Prigge. Lays off. Well, she wanted to pull the trigger.
You can just tell by the way that her body jerked a little bit that she was going after that pitch. It was a good job to stop herself, though. That's a sign of a really experienced hitter.
See Halverson out at second. Big hack, foul ball to the screen. That's Foreman at first. One of the 2 hits recorded by the Razorbacks here in game 2. Big wave and a miss. Silva kept working Prigge up until she got the K, and there's 2 outs.
Well, Silva recognized when Prigge wanted to go for the 1-2 pitches previously. Pitchers notice that kind of movement, and this time Silva climbing the ladder a little bit more. That ball starts belt high, elevates up into the zone. That late break, Prigge not able to hold up. That's a really nice rise ball.
That ball hammered but fouled off the bat of Rio. That may have played it a pair.
And a ball about 6 inches away from making this a 2-0 game.
Rio was hit by a pitch, grounded out twice in our first game. Another big wave and a miss. Silva was ranked the number 6 recruit nationally by Extra Inning Softball, so obviously she came with a lot of acclaim. Always wanted to be a Cat. She wants to get out of this inning after a walk and a single began things. Mile high fly ball to Altmaier. She's there waiting, the inning in. So the Hogs get their first 2 on base, but they do not score. A couple of scoreless innings. Here we go to the 3rd inning. Arizona and Arkansas. No score. Robin Heron back to the circle. Going to face a fellow freshman, Taylor Beal, who's 8 for 15 to begin her college career. Coach Lowe said our freshmen have soaked up everything. They picked up the pace and even sparked play at some times. And as Beal looks at strike one, I feel like their freshmen played extremely well in that tough Clearwater St. Pete event.
Well, the freshmen taking the lead at big moments in the games, and that's what you want. Obviously, Arizona has this kind of capability to draw really solid freshman classes, so they're expected to compete immediately.
Hard hit right to Foreman. She'll scoop and flip, and that's an out. Yeah, getting back to that circuit of watching amateur softball. I mean, when you go and you see the big events, there's one in California, there's one in the Denver area, in Colorado. When you see these top teams and these top players, even though they're playing against 17 and 18-year-olds, so many of them are college ready.
Yes.
Ready to contribute.
And that's really been the evolution over the last 15 years since I was playing in that Denver area showcase myself. And, you know, there's really the level of competition these days across the board is so impressive, and I think it's great for the growth of our sport because there are so many players that are college ready, and you feel the excitement of the crowds. You look at the Clearwater Invitation about how many people were invested in that tournament, the caliber of the teams, and the parity, because not all of those players are going to go to top 25 teams, so they're going other places, and it raises the level of the sport across the board.
2-0 to Altmaier. Another freshman on this Arizona team. Last batter in their lineup, hit against Heron. I got back from a big-time volleyball event in Kansas City this weekend, which was the equivalent of those softball events. And I'm watching the top teams, and their hitters are 6'5", 6'4", and 6'3". They might be able to compete against some of these SEC teams right now as 17-year-olds. They were that good, that big. That's a strike on the outside corner.
Softball and volleyball, two of the fastest growing sports across the country, and that speaks volumes just about the growth of women's sports and the popularity of it in general. My cousins did the volleyball circuit. I would have been a libero. That was not my jam. Basketball, softball showcases only.
2-2 pitch is fouled back and out of play. And, you know, we've seen the attendance numbers over the last couple of years, and it hasn't just been because these teams have been good. I know Arizona's always drawn well too, but you're just seeing more and more fans that are into it, whether it's through television, through the big events at the end of the year, and then of course the following with these fans. 2-2 just misses, and honestly that was the tough pill last year in Arkansas in the Super Regional. One, to have the seniors and not to see them go to Oklahoma City, but also have the big crowds here just waiting for a celebration that didn't come.
Arkansas fans are rabid.
Payoff pitch. Wave and a miss, 3 Ks for Heron.
I think they're going to be excited about this freshman in Heron. She's been really impressive with the way that she's been spinning the ball, keeping these Arizona hitters off balance. She moves it so well east to west. I like how she's working in her changeup, and she does not seem intimidated whatsoever despite being so early on in her collegiate career.
Behringer fly to center to begin the game. Serves one back to the netting.
Arkansas fans are like that, though, regardless of the sport. You think of football, Diamond Hogs, obviously, basketball. Arkansas draws fairly well, and so does Arizona, but Arkansas draws fairly well across all the sports.
Including gymnastics, which
yes.
Huge.
I have not
numbers.
been to Bud for a gymnastics event yet.
0-1 pitch, drilled to the gap. Johnson outran that ball. Makes the catch. Inning over. That is now 8 in a row set down by Robin Heron. Still a 0-0 game, mid-3 from Bogle. Hawks took down the Wildcats 3-2 with a walk-off winner in our first game, but nothing here in the second contest. Silva and Heron have been very good. Silva worked around a walk and a single to begin the second, then retired 3 straight. She'll get the top of the lineup for the Hogs in Johnson, Gamble, and Hedgecock. Johnson went down on strikes, her only time in. Sends one right back up the middle past Silva, base hit. Arkansas's third.
Johnson hunting for a base hit all the way. First pitch swinging, super aggressive. As a leadoff hitter, especially the second time through the lineup, you know that a lot of times that first pitch is the best one you're going to see. Johnson wasting no time at the top of the lineup. She's exactly what you want, making something happen. She has that triple threat ability. She can drop it that time, sends it right through the infield for a hard single.
A much different leadoff hitter than KB Sides last year, who came in as kind of a speedster slash outfielder, maybe left-handed bat, who became a power hitter in the SEC Player of the Year. So she fit right into the Bogle Bomber theme, but Johnson more of an on-base presence. And she's on for Gamble, who singled in the first after getting the game-winning single that went to the fence in the bottom of the 7th of Game 1.
You mentioned the different type of leadoff hitter, and that's kind of been the evolution of that leadoff spot over the last decade or so. It used to be traditionally that speedster at the top of the lineup. You had speed 1, 2, maybe in that 9-hole to turn it over, and now you have more triple threat hitters like Johnson. I think of Kayla Kowalik at Kentucky, the catcher.
Yep.
She's been a fantastic leadoff hitter for the Wildcats. She's more that triple threat. And then you've seen the power hitter in that leadoff spot too, because a lot of coaches have the philosophy of, hey, why am I going to waste a sacrifice if I've got players in the 1-2 spot that can hit for doubles?
Gamble taking 3-0. So for the second straight inning, Hawks have their first 2 runners on base after the walk.
And that almost felt like a pitch around Gamble to me.
Got to get your hug, but again, what was unusual, and that's going to do it for the time being for Silva, was the fact that there's nobody out, and you got the 3, 4, 5 hitters to follow. So Silva worked around a little bit of trouble in the second. She'll not be given that opportunity to do so in this third inning. This is in part what this Arizona program wants by coming here. They just want to get a true road test. I mean, they were on the road last week, but everybody was in Clearwater. What this is, an opportunity for that road game or series of road games to get uncomfortable and also get a lot of different pitchers involved. They're going to bring on another hurler for the time being. Summerdijk.
Entering the circle for the Wildcats.
Sydney Summerdijk is a freshman out of California.
Summerdijk, a righty, so she's going to give a little bit of a different look. Velocity low to mid 60s, hitting in that 62 to 64 range. She likes to work the curveball on both sides of the plate. She's still working on utilizing and in perfecting her rise ball, so she'll take it up in the zone, but not quite as frequent as Silva does. She's coming off a really solid performance at the Clearwater Invitational. 5-inning pitch total, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs. Both of those were earned, just a walk and 3 strikeouts. I did not see her, however, warming up very long in the pen. I didn't see her down there at all. So I'm wondering, especially on a colder day than Arizona is used to, how warm and loose she actually is coming into this game.
Everything is colder than you're used to.
Well, it's definitely colder than Clearwater, that's for sure.
You know, spending 6 years there broadcasting AAA baseball, our pitchers would say on the days it would be like 110 where they get in their car and they drive to the park, they're like, I'm loose already. I'm
Right.
sitting in my car, kind of sweating for 20 minutes, waiting for the AC to kick in. I'm already loose.
I'll take that 110 Tucson all day
Oh,
over
you aren't
75.
the only one, sister.
Oh, I'll tell you, the worst softball experience I ever had was when we won our 2007 ACC championship. Tallahassee in mid-May in maroon polyester uniforms. I have never been hotter in my life.
Well, here's Ryland Hedgecock. Again, she popped up to second in her only at-bat in Game 2, but was on base 3 times in our first. Watch that pitch miss up. As Courtney Deifel said, true hitter and a ton of pop. We saw her have success in the pinch hitting role. What we didn't see in that role was maybe the extra base hits or the long balls that have developed now. And I guess any hitter would tell you, when you get an opportunity for 3, 4 at-bats and you string those games together back after back, is so much different than just getting 1AB where you're just trying to put the ball in play.
Pinch hitting is some of the most difficult thing to do in all of athletics because typically you're not warm, you're not ready, you're not locked in, and you're being thrown into what is usually a pressure situation and expected to perform on the spot.
See if Hedgecock comes unglued on this pitch with a swing. She did, but it went straight up the silo. Behringer, a third, will make the catch. She was trying to do damage 2-0, but popped it up.
I don't mind that swing there, though, by Hedgecock. A lot of pop, 2-0. That's typically a hitter's pitch. You're going to get something good. So she went after that ball, just missed it by just a smidge.
See the defense for the Wildcats. Almost exactly the same, with the exception of Short from game 1. Here's Hoffman. Hoffman lined out to right in the first, and off the bat I thought she might be sending one to the fence, but it died and was caught by Dimmler. We have some type of illegal pitch.
I didn't see the initial ruling, but the way that the conversation is happening right now at the pitcher's mound, that looks like what is the conversation. Looks like to me that that might be a discussion about a crow hop and where the foot is placing on the rubber and the releasing and the drag of the foot. Because there wasn't, I didn't see anything on the hands that would be a separation and come back together.
So that pitch counts as is right there with that wave of a miss?
No, that was a ball.
Big healthy swing by Hoffman.
Arkansas is going after it, though. The Razorbacks not afraid to take hacks at the plate.
Again, they had runners at first and second, nobody out last inning. Went line out, strikeout, fly out. Singled on a walk to begin this inning before a pop-up. And now Hoffman behind 1-2. Johnson at second. Arkansas trying to score first. Wave and a miss. How about the pop-up and a strikeout by Summerdijk since coming into this game?
Yeah, those are two big at-bats by Summerdijk going after these Arkansas hitters. She's really been working up in the zone, not primarily known for her rise ball, but having a lot of success getting Arkansas to chase up in the zone. She's using the aggressiveness of the Razorbacks against them and causing them to chase because they want so badly to bring these runs in.
Here's Halverson. I think that's where a pitcher who can work up with rise pitches against a power hitting team could be successful. You want to see that pitch belt high. And out of the hand, it looks good until it's letter high.
Right, and when it comes out of the hand and it looks like a meatball, you're like, oh, I'm going to jump all over this. And by the time it gets you, because you have to make that decision so quickly, that just like that ball, as you saw it was coming up, it's already up on your hands and rising out of the zone.
Now Halverson down 0-2. She walked in the second after fouling off a handful of pitches. By my count, the Hawks left 10 in game 1. Because those runners that are on base in the 7th count as left on base, even after the game-winning hit. Goodness, that was close.
Good check by Halverson. It's so difficult. Not only was that ball moving up, but it also had a little bit of a tail to it. Pitchers kind of have that combo pitch nowadays. So, like, if they have a curve, they'll have a rise with just a little extra tail. It just makes it that much harder to hit.
That's not fair as a hitter.
It's like a slurve, right?
Can't have both. Pick one. Check swing flare down the line in right. Fair ball. A run will score. Johnson easily comes to the plate. Halverson drives in her 13th of the year. And Arkansas strikes first.
It wasn't the prettiest swing, check swing. She kept her barrel up. That ball was again in the zone, but Halverson did a good job adjusting and keeping her barrel on the plane with the ball.
Did Dimmler not take the best route on this? Did she kind of go horizontally rather than in?
She did. You see the first two steps were to the side instead of immediately coming forward. That's a tough play because that ball is a sinking liner, so you have to either come off forward at an angle to cut it off immediately, or you have to drop back to make sure that that ball doesn't get down the line. with Johnson's speed, even if she had come forward, I don't think she would have had the opportunity to get her at the plate. Her only play was to go back, but she went sideways first.
I thought maybe she had a chance to catch it. I don't think she realized how far that ball was going to travel in the air. Maybe thought it was going to hit and was trying to get around it when it just kept traveling towards her. Regardless, it's 1-0. Here's Foreman. Foreman has 7 hits on the year. Hit one a mile, but foul. That might hit the building. Past the hitting cages.
I thought she was going for the gator.
I thought so
out
too.
There.
Going to take somebody out. Gamble to third. Arkansas's plated a run in this third inning. Halverson aboard at first. Roller to short. From a knee, the throw by Beal is wide. Arkansas plates another. Beal jackknifed a bit, but tried to make that quick throw to second base from her knee and threw one by Skaggs.
Beal made the tough part of that play. She got over into the hole and actually got her entire body in front of that ball instead of trying to backhand it, but she rushed the throw. It was a little bit off to the left side of the bag. Not the best throw, just pulled Skaggs over. And that's a play probably 9 times out of 10 that she makes if she just takes an extra beat and gets that ball over on a strong throw instead of trying to rush it.
So the Hogs get a break. It's 2-0. Here's Kramer. So Summerdijk retired the first 2 she faced coming into this game in relief with a couple of base runners aboard, but Halverson had the base hit, and then the throwing error continued the inning. Kramer was late on that swing.
And she was later, and her feet were moving all over
Yes.
the place. She was not steady in the box. Everything with hitting starts with your feet and your foundation. If you're moving at the bottom, it's nearly impossible to get a good swing.
That's going to be out of play near the bullpen area. Kramer's 0 for 4 combined in the doubleheader. Drake Bulldogs might have a few coaches here watching this game today thinking we got to play both these teams. That's a good program as well, though, out of Des Moines, Iowa. They'll be the 3rd team, part of this round-robin invitation. One ball, 2 strikes to Kramer. Fouled straight back.
And you talk about Drake and Drake being a quality program from what would be considered a mid-major conference, but you know we keep talking about the parity. You look, McNeese State getting a big win over Washington earlier this week. You know, these mid-major teams, and you see they're feeding into the major teams now. You talk about, you know, the transfer from South Dakota State, and these mid-majors, they're really quality programs, and coming to tournaments like this only help them promote themselves for the future.
I would say with both baseball and softball, because those 2 sports have never been older. You're looking there at Foreman, a 5th-year player. I mean, she's probably going to play 300 softball games before she's done. 2-2 pitch, fouled back.
Between graduate degrees and COVID years and redshirt freshmen, I mean, you have kids playing 7 years now, which I thought only John Belushi got to do in Animal House.
Well, sometimes when that happened, you'd have an injury year, you'd have a transfer year. Now they're playing every single one of those years. 2 runs home, 2 on base, 2 balls, 2 strikes the count. Up in the Gloman, Kennedy will make the catch to win the inning. That was a long at bat for Kramer. She flies out in foul territory. The Hogs get a couple of runs, though, to get on the board. We go to the 4th inning. Heart of the lineup due up for the Wildcats. Well, how did I get on this side?
I got here first.
We're going to have to. Oh my goodness, there is one down
Right?
there.
Yeah, you haven't noticed I
No
haven't been
fair. Here's Dakota Kennedy waving and missing at the pitch from Heron to start the 4th inning. I specialize in Space Eaters, and yet not today.
It's okay. You had other things going on before the first game of the doubleheader.
It's that time of year. That's a bunt attempt, and that's a strike.
It was a good idea by Kennedy. She just picked an unfortunate pitch to try to bunt through because that was a drop ball all the way from Kennedy. So as she's moving forward, that ball is dropping and tailing away.
0-2, misses up and out. Coach Lowe had a few words of encouragement from the coach's box. That one goes to the screen. You know, the funny part about Coach Lowe, she told us today that her, along with one of her assistants, Laura Lappin, both played on a professional team, the USSSA Pride, when Coach Michael was the head coach. We're going back to, I think, 2011, 2012, and I rattled off a few of the names on that team for you earlier. How about Danielle Laurie, Kat Osterman? How about Natasha Watley?
Jessica
Mendoza, yep. Caitlin Lowe, all on this team. Here's a payoff. Fouled back.
I mean, that's a team worthy of Team USA.
Yes.
On a professional team.
With Matt Michael coaching along with Beth Torina, Tim Walton at Florida, Leah O'Brien Amico. I mean, you got coaching stars stacked in every possible way. Two of the Arizona coaches, including Caitlin Lowe, were pros with Matt Michael on the staff. But Kennedy does a great job to work a walk to get on base to begin the 4th inning.
You hit the nail on the head, not just a walk, but a leadoff walk. As a pitcher, you never want to issue a leadoff walk because it is so damaging. Now it puts pressure on the defense to play behind you. It gives the offense an opportunity. You can bunt. You can try to hit and run with someone at the top of the lineup that has a little bit of speed.
It's also the heart of the lineup. Pulled the string against Skaggs, and Skaggs flied out to right to a ball that I think reached the warning track back in the first.
The worst places to walk a batter are the top 2 spots and the number 9 spot to roll that lineup over.
Led her high, 1-1. Arizona has just one hit, the single by Kennedy in the first, but she walked to begin the 4th. That's a good-looking pitch, called a strike.
Yeah, Skaggs was hunting. That was an off-speed. The weight shift, she was out in front on her front hip. It was a good decision not to swing at it because she wouldn't have been able to get a lot of power behind it. So that's a really gutsy pitch in that count.
You doubled up? Fouled back. She may have. I mean, hitting is timing, so pitching is upsetting timing, and I think that's where Robin Heron, when she's on and having success, is doing exactly that.
It's a chess match. I mean, it's how do the hitters counter what the pitcher is doing, and then how can the pitcher and catcher read that and do something else.
And sometimes a pitch like that misses might even be kind of a show-me pitch to come back and change speeds again.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about pitch sequencing in pitches. No pitch is thrown independent of another one. It is all a sequence to get the desired result.
Big 2-2 offering here. She did try and pull the string but missed, and all of a sudden Skaggs has seen the count go full.
That's the risk that you run with a show me on a 2-2. It is typically a hitter's count, now a 3-2. Skaggs knows that Heron has to come back with a better pitch. She does not want to walk back-to-back batters.
Pitch is hit into left for a single, so Skaggs wins the battle. Kennedy to second. Now the go-ahead run in the presence of Carly Skupin comes to the plate.
And now if you're Heron, you're flirting around with the center of Arizona's order, and this is where things could get dicey. You issue a walk, you give up a single, We used to talk all the time about a bloop in the blast. That's all you need to either, if you're on offense, break something open, or if you're in defense, that can cause a lot of trouble because all it takes is one. And we saw in the first game, scooping that double down the right field line at the top of the 7th inning, that led to a blast.
That was a tremendous at bat. She struck out on the first against Herrin, but seeing her for the second time. 32 career home runs for Skupin. So Arkansas has a quick visit to the circle.
And I'm not surprised that Callie Turner is up and working in the Arkansas pen, pitching as much as we talked about in the first game, even though Shanice Delce threw a complete game gem. Pitching has gone a little bit more pitch by committee, especially in that second and third time through the rotation.
Yeah, that's when I think you're much more willing to consider changes. You know, you give them a look and then you try and change it, provide a different type of pitcher. Don't let these hitters get too comfortable. When you watch Skupin, it's almost like she is leaning out over the inside corner of that plate. She's trying to take away as best she can any available real estate for Herrin. Watch her settle in because that back foot is near the chalk, but those hands almost are over the inside corner of the plate. In fact, they are. And then she leans in a little bit further.
Well, Skupin is able to do that because of the hand speed that she has through the zone, because if she had any hand lag, she wouldn't be able to clear on the inside pitch. Because she is so quick to contact, that allows her to get through on the inner part of the plate. And so anything that is middle out is going to be typically what would be down the middle for a traditional hitter, and it expands her power zone.
Three and one the count.
I don't know where that one missed.
Maybe
Maybe a little bit high,
yeah.
but
So walk and a single. The Cats in business here in the 4th inning. Big pitch again. Skupin will chase.
this is a big moment for Herrin, the freshman. We talked about trial by fire. It doesn't get any hotter than this going against Arizona's middle of their lineup.
Can Herrin do it again? 3-2 pitch. How about that? Back to back. Once Skupin got into a hitter's count, gets the K for a big first out for the Razorbacks.
Herrin's been working up in the zone a lot this game. Comes back with the curveball breaking away. Skupin looking for something on the inner half of the plate, doesn't adjust as that ball is tailing. And then you can see that outer hip was leaning away from the pitch. That's why she wasn't able to get into that curveball and make contact.
You could see the movement away on that last replay. Nets watches that bounce in there. Pretty good stop by Gamble. Hawks got two in the bottom of the third. Nets provided both Arizona runs in the first game with a home run to right center. It's 2-0.
A curveball from a lefty on going up against righty. It's going to run in on the hands. And the majority of pitchers are right-handed, so the lefty always is going to present a little bit of a different look.
Pretty good pitch. Knee high outside corner.
Nets content to let that go. That's not her pitch, and in that count, she'll leave that for a called strike any day.
Especially 2-0. Drill to center. Hit well for the second time today. Nets is homered. This is a 3-run shot. And Arizona has taken the lead. All 5 runs of this doubleheader have come on 2 swings of the bat from Devin Ness.
And Nets able to get that pitch because she laid off the pitch before that. She forced Herrin to bring that ball a little bit more in on the plate. That ball too centered, and Nets taking advantage. The pop that she has in her bat that's been on display today. Nets just doing big things in the circle and in the box. You see that ball is on the middle third. At this level, you cannot make that kind of pitch to these hitters. That's something that Herrin is going to have to learn. We talked about can't take a pitch off. That's a pitch that got away from Herrin.
And Demler watches one down and in. And when you say take a pitch off, it is said some might not completely understand that. In other words, when you miss, it can't be such a miss where it's right in that hitting zone.
With pitchers at this level, they could get away with those pitches playing high school and playing a lot of travel ball. But at this level, when you leave a pitch on that part of the plate, hitters are going to be able to take advantage and not just hit the ball, but hit it for power, hit it for extra bases, and that's exactly what just happened with Devin Netz.
So she's driven in all 5 Arizona runs. 2-0 to Dimmler. Pretty good pitch for a strike.
And for Herrin right now, it's all about how do you respond. You know, pitchers, we talked about it at the Clearwater Invitational, they got hit around at the Invitational, 86 home runs in that tournament. So how do you come back after you just get taken yard? How do you learn how to get the next one? That's the next step as you move from the high school game to the college game and the evolution of how you transform as a player.
So now, curious how Herrin will respond. That's a wave and a miss. Gamble's going to have to pounce on it. Can she get that throw there? No, and it goes down the line. That's a turn at first, but Dimmler will get back. That is at least the 4th time in this doubleheader somebody has struck out but reached base.
That is the 4th time. He's had 3 in the first game. That's the 1st in this game. Credit Foreman, though. She did exactly what she was supposed to do. That was fundamental softball. She went and backed up the throw. A lot of times you'll see players be kind of lackadaisical about that because they expect their teammates to make the play. That throw tailed into the batting lane or the running lane. And had Foreman not been there, Dimmler was looking like she was ready to make the turn and go to second.
She would have probably cruised in easily. Looks like we're going to have a pitching change. We'll keep it here. And you know, going back to those home runs in Clearwater and St. Pete, a lot of them weren't cheap. I mean, they kept showing the fans looking in the swamp 50 feet behind the fence for the ball. And every once in a while, I was thinking, you know, it is Florida. You don't know what critters are out there in that tall grass.
Yeah, I'll leave that out there. Thank you very much.
We'll let that one go.
Nope.
Casey Hoffman hit one of those for Arkansas, and there were several that were, you know, maybe 260, 270-ish.
You know, I'll be honest, with the evolution of the offensive side of softball, I can't think of the last time that I've seen a cheap home run. I mean, the power that players hit with nowadays. As we take another look, that ball low in the zone. Dimmler was out in front and just kicked away, and then the throw, the tail back across. I think had that throw been on target, such a mental game. And softball, really, at its base, it is very simple. See the ball, hit the ball, pitch the ball, throw the ball. But it's such a mental game because you do it your entire life. The mechanics feel the same, but you're not getting the results that you want, and all of a sudden you can find yourself in a really mental spiral. And it can be really hard to pull out of.
Here's Pacho. Ooh. Free base run.
The pitch absolutely got away from Turner. Trying to come up and in and just completely missed catching Pacho in the back. That's not going to feel good tonight. That never feels good anyway. But
no, it will not. So Arizona's gone from trailing 2-0 to taking the lead and now thinking about really kind of tacking on.
This is where elite teams set themselves apart, is having that pedal to the ground mentality, closing out and really striking while the iron's hot and creating some distance. And Arizona has done that over the decades, and you can kind of sense the Wildcats. They're kind of going in for the kill shot right now. They feel like if they can maybe get 1 run, 2 even, that this could be a ball game that could quickly get out of reach.
Especially with a chance to turn this lineup over at some point in the 4th inning. Beal rolled out to second, her only time in. So the runner at second is Dimmler. She struck out but reached on a wild pitch. Then Pacho at first was hit by a pitch. That's a cold lead. That's Logan Cole running at second. Turner could use a strike, 3-1. There's more activity, not 1 but 2 pitchers warming up for the Razorbacks. Beal, the freshman, ahead of the count. Good pitch. Strike call.
That was a good pitch, low outside corner. Beal, though, looked like she had the red light all the way. She wants to make Turner throw a strike before she's willing to swing.
Ground ball to second. Foreman will take the sure out at first. Thought she might consider going to second base, but that is the second out of the inning.
Probably would have had a better consideration for second had she not had to catch the ball in between coming into her stomach. It took a little extra awkward hop there at the end. The safe play is always, especially in an inning that could get out of control, take the safe out at first.
And here's Altmaier. 9-hole hitter. Went down on strikes in her only at bat. Gamble had to jump up to keep that one from maybe going to the backstop.
It looked like it got stuck in Turner's hand. Typically when you see balls float like that, especially up in the zone, they're getting caught in the palm and you're not snapping through the wrist, which is what creates that spin.
Ground ball to short. Rio had the bobble, safe at first, and a run will score. That bobble was enough. I mean, she caught it out of her glove, but Altmaier runs well and beat it.
That ball hit hard. It just trickled up the back of the glove. And Rio, she's got it gone, but just not in time. And that's why those drop third strikes, those hit by pitches, they add up. And it's why pitchers,
they sure do.
I mean, it's why pitchers hate them so much, is because they find ways to come back and bite you.
So a 4-run inning. You're right. The strikeout wild pitch, that was Dimmler. She scored, or the runner who took over for her.
And obviously you don't know what would have happened in the rest of Pacho's at bat, but with 2 outs, that happens. You take away that drop third strike, you're out of the inning instead.
And it continues now, and it's the top of the lineup in Behringer, who's the only Wildcat who hasn't batted this inning. So a 4-2 Arizona lead. Arkansas got a couple of runs in the bottom of the third, but Arizona's responded with 4 in the fourth. Pitch skipped into the glove of Gamble. Turner trying to end this inning. Chop to the backstop over near the Courtney Deifel cardboard cutouts.
There's a whole slew of them
Yeah,
from
there
my
were.
vantage point.
At one point there were like 4 or 5, and we're down to like 2. That's Pacho at second. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wave to miss. Good pitch. Behringer will K, but what an inning for Arizona. They score 4 runs.
Leading off for the Razorbacks, number 15,
Spencer Prigge will lead off the bottom of the 4th inning. Arkansas trailing 4-2. Prigge struck out in her only AB here in game 2. That's a chopper that's going to be a tough play, but it was the quick effort by Summerdijk that allowed her to get there and not have to take it on a second bounce to get Prigge.
Summerdijk so quick off the mound. As soon as she saw that ball go into the air, she immediately broke, collected herself, made a strong throw over to first. That was a tough play. She made it look routine.
Here's Rio. I think one thing we have not mentioned yet through what would be 11 innings of softball. Rio socks one to center, but playable, and Altmaier makes the catch, and I better be quick because that's 2 very fast outs. Is that Courtney Deifel set an all-time program record with career win number 245 in Clearwater. So she owns the top spot in program history, and she can put a lot of separation between everybody else.
And Courtney Deifel has done a fantastic job building this program since taking over, and she has turned a team that had been towards the bottom of the conference into one of the top teams. And Arkansas has given everyone else across the SEC notice that the Razorbacks are here. They're not going anywhere.
Nope, #1 recruiting class coming in, and then programs like this, and there are several others. Arizona, I think, is in the same boat, where you're very attractive in this new era of transfer portal. Chop foul by Johnson. I mean, every year if you have a couple of holes, you can continue to develop your players. At the same time, go out and cherry pick a handful of others that you can bring in that can immediately go into your lineup.
And softball is one of those sports where those grad transfers can have more of an immediate impact. I feel like they are directly transferable, where they can be impact immediately from the moment they step foot on campus.
It's like going to the mall at Christmas time and your dad gives you like $300 and say, hey, go shop. You know, you're like, well, I can do a lot of damage with this if you're going to give me money.
Isn't that what the NIL is for?
Well, that's another issue.
That's another. No, but I mean, so you think about, you get transfers into a football program or a basketball program. You have to learn a new offense, right? No one has to learn a new way to play softball. They all play the same. It's just signals are a little bit different, but it's how you fit in a cohesive scheme. That's a nice hit.
Well, Johnson, that's going to go all the way to the fence. Let's see her speed. She's going to 30, and we'll stop there. Once Altmaier couldn't secure it and that one got to the fence, it was only a matter of could Dimmler get there in time to keep Johnson from possibly having a chance to circle him.
Man, speed you cannot teach. That ball's hit on a rope, one hop skips, and Dimmler just takes Altmaier just takes a bad route, and she's going back, and it kind of skips on this grass. It stays down. She looked like she was expecting it to come up, and as soon as it got past Altmaier in center field, Johnson was thinking 3 the entire way.
So it brings up Gamble representing the tying run. Hannah's walked, singled, and scored after winning game 1. Triple for Johnson. Arkansas has out-hit Arizona 5-3. They trail 4-2. Arizona had 4 runs on just 2 hits in the top of this frame. One of them was a 3-run homer.
I mean, it sounds a little flip, but you can out-hit an opponent. But if you do the little things like the drop third strikes and the hit by pitch, the hitting doesn't matter so much.
Not as much, no. Arkansas was out-hit by like 4 to the Grambling baseball team the other day, but 1. That was a pitch I thought Gamble might try and launch. She took it for strike 2 in her half.
Out of the hand, it looked like a pitch that Hannah Gamble would typically go after.
Next pitch hit a mile in the air, but foul. Third base side and carries over near the bullpen area.
I noticed with the temperature, nobody's trying to catch the foul balls out there tonight.
Boy, they look genuinely scared.
I mean, those things are coming down with some velo. That's.
Gamble waiting. I think that's a swing, and that's strike 3. So the triple by Johnson goes for naught. We're through 4 innings. Wildcats fired up. They lead the Hogs 4-2.
Softball player, and for me, Monica Abbott is really the player that put the SEC on the map, because prior to that, college softball was dominated by the Pac-12.
It's a great point. Here's Kennedy fouling one back and out of play. And there was some star power, too, when you watch Monica Abbott in that circle.
She was intimidating. She
Oh,
is.
boy.
We talked about Jenny Finch and what she was able to do, but Monica Abbott with her stride length and her size, because she was 6 feet.
She looked like a giant.
She was. She felt like she was already on top
Yep.
of you by the time that she was releasing the ball, and she's just that power lefty, and just what she's been able to do for the sport, for the SEC. And now when you think about the SEC, they are right there on par with the Pac-12.
Every bit. It's probably been a couple of years. This was pre-COVID, and it was at that big event in Colorado. Finished my thought after this 1-1 to Kennedy. and that's a little bit out. It was Amanda Freed, myself, and Monica Abbott having a conversation. So I was listening to the two Olympians, talk softball. Well, I just kind of observed, but there have been a lot of softball with that duo.
Any helpful tidbits that you picked up?
No, I mean, it was, I don't even know what the baseball equivalent of that would be. Like, Mike Trout and Clayton Kershaw. You'd have, some giants. Now, they had both, at that time, Amanda was done, but Monica was still traveling around. There's a wave and a miss.
That's another
Kennedy will K. Gamble a little bit, almost threw that ball past Halverson at first when Kennedy was on her way to the dugout, but the K recorded.
Now batting number 9, Allie Skaggs.
We talk about pitching by committee and how it's changed over the years, and I wonder if we will ever see another pitcher that's as dominant as Monica Abbott was. Over 500 strikeouts every single year that she pitched.
What was her velocity back in the day? Do we know? I know Radar
She was definitely popping around 70.
I think so, right?
She and Jenny Finch were the first two that I remember consistently hitting around that 70. That's not to say it didn't happen before, but just in terms of where I was in my development and the players that I was watching, those are the first two that I remember running up against that 70.
It felt like more juice, and again, her size and the proximity to the batter all played into that domination. 1-1 is into Skaggs. 2 balls and a strike from Turner.
And the movement that she had because of the length of her legs, the length of her arms, the whip action that she was able to get, and the turnover. You would talk about spin rate a lot in baseball. Same thing with softball. The whip and the spin rate that she was able to get made her pitches move so much more than it seemed like anybody else was throwing at that time.
Before the squad went to the Olympics, they played a series of exhibition games across the country. And I took my daughter out to see them play in Houston, and that one's rolled foul. Monica did not pitch that night, but she would come out of the dugout and jog down the right field line after every inning, and it was kind of like, whoa. I mean, that's a different physique. It's a different altitude which she reaches than everybody else.
I was listening to the 7 Innings podcast on the way up here this morning, and they were talking about Monica's retirement.
2-2 is grounded sharply to short to Rijo.
And in 2008, she was kind of the newbie of the group of that Olympic team as some of the older players that kind of transitioned out and came full circle ahead of the last Olympics where she's kind of the veteran and now retiring. It's great, by the way, to see softball finally back in the Olympics after it was gone for a couple years.
It's not there for Paris, is it? Coming up soon? I don't believe baseball is. Here's Skupin. Take strike 1. Skupin struck out both times up, but those were against Hera, now facing Turner. Sometimes those bat and ball sports are up to the host country, and I'm with you. I think it was great having softball back, and I just wish it was permanent. I just wish it was something these young women could plan on. I say young women. The last Olympics, it was fully grown women with Kat and others, but
it is not included in the 2024 Olympics, by the way. I don't know where they would build a softball facility in Paris. I've been a couple of times. There's not a lot of extra room for new venues over there.
No, we can go a couple of hours outside of Paris if we need to.
I mean, I'm more than willing to go over and help them find a spot.
2-strike pitch carries outside. Cats up 4-2 here in the 5th inning.
Back in my day, I remember going to one of those pre-Olympic tours myself, although that was Crystal Bustos and kind of the older version, pre-Monica Abbott, but that just speaks to how old I am.
Sprayed foul off the screen in front of the dugout. Coach Lowe flinches every time a ball hits about 30 feet above her on that net. She's waiting for the deflection to come get her.
There's no such thing as being 2 heads up when you're a base coach.
Turner would love a perfect top of the 5th inning. Try and restore some order after Arizona had that big 4-run 4th. First time ever Arkansas has had a home opener where there have been 2 ranked teams. That's strike 3. Nice frame from Turner. Do something well, you'll get a hug. And the frame goes quickly in the top of the 5th inning, but Arizona maintains a 2-run lead. Well, for Arkansas, coming off that amazing campaign a year ago where there were 48 wins and 11 losses, there's no Danielle Gibson or KB Sides, Player of the Year, Lenny Malkin, Taylor Ellsworth, Hannah McEwen, Sam Torres. I know Ellsworth and Malkin are still working for the team as GAs, if you will, but, well, that's a murderer's row of people to replace.
Well, it's experience, it's production. 70% of the offense has to be replaced from a year ago, and that's a big number to ask, especially with so many young players. We talked about the transfers and the immediate impact that they can make, but there's still a lot of freshmen on this team. They're going to be expected to contribute immediately, and to have that level graduate all at one time, it's going to take some time to get there.
It will, and you think of a player like Hedgecock as she takes strike 2 from Summer and Dyke. Last year she was a pinch hitter, maybe get a start here or there. Now she's a 3-hole hitter on this team. Thought Spencer Prigge said it best this offseason, talking about the change with all the newcomers in the depth. That one's just tapped softly towards the circle, and that's going to be a quick out. Spencer said, I think we'll find our gibbies, meaning we'll find our veterans and we'll find our leaders at some point, and that's what, in a sense, this first month is about. But you're also going up against Arizona and the teams in Clearwater and others where you're trying to get big wins while you're figuring everything out on the fly.
I mean, this is what you play for, though. If you're Arkansas, you want to establish yourself as that next wave of team that's moving into the Women's College World Series, going up against the perennial powers. This is how you do it. You learn how to play against them early in the season. You take that confidence from what you're able to do. You take the lessons from the losses, apply it to the conference season, and then try to play your way into the tournament.
Hoffman's 0 for 2, hits that a mile in the air to left. Kennedy underneath it. Not exactly a confident grab, but one that'll count. This Arkansas team has always played with a chip on their shoulder, almost as if we're overlooked or we're underappreciated. And I thought, well, what is the chip going to be this year? Coming off back-to-back SEC championships and winning both of the championships last year. As Halverson steps in, and as Courtney said after year 1, it was, well, they won because they didn't play this team or that team in the regular season. They tipped their hat to them last year because of the veteran players, almost as if to say, and on the appeal, that's going to be a swing and a strike. The thought is, well, they had older players and better players. And this year the thought is, well, they lost so many players that they can't be good this season. So that is the new chip.
Every team's got to have something.
Yeah, whether it's created or real. Another good pitch. 0-2.
But if you're Arkansas, if you continue that success in this season, even if you don't win the regular season or you don't win the tournament, if you finish in that top half of the SEC, replacing all of that production, and even in the circle as well, to have so many new faces, that's still a statement season.
Yes, agreed. And it doesn't mean that you can't host a regional or even
exactly.
a super.
I mean, look, we were talking about the parity. You know, the SEC is so strong top to bottom. It's a lot like playing SEC football now. You beat each other up every single week, but at the end in the playoffs and in the bowls, you're better.
That's fouled back by Halverson. In football, if they get to that 12 or 16 team playoff where you could see 4 or 5 maybe SEC teams in it, we already have that with 16 host sites in softball where you might have 5, 6, 7
exactly.
all being SEC.
Exactly. And you know, everyone wants to win a regular season title. Everyone wants to win a tournament title. Those are really fun, but what you care about the most is being in a situation to host a regional, potentially host a super regional, and get to the Women's College World Series, because you can do those things without winning the regular season titles.
Yes. Well, how about Arizona? Last year they were well below 500 in their league, and they weren't able to host, but they were able to still to get to the World Series. Popped up back and out of play. This year Arkansas's picked 3rd preseason behind Florida and Tennessee, so there's your heavyweights.
And that Florida series is coming fairly soon.
Tennessee will be here for a 3-game series
Yep.
as well to Bogle Park. Halverson's having quite a battle with Summerdike. Another high fly to playable right field. Dimmler will make the catch, so the Hogs go in order. And somewhat quickly in the 5th,
Leading off for the Wildcats, number 34, Devin Ness.
Kelly Turner back to the circle in the 6th, and she is going to face the Babe Ruth today. Devin Netz, who has hit 2 home runs, a 2-run shot and a 3-run shot. She's pretty much done all the damage offensively for Arizona.
And doing all the damage at the plate and pitching a really good game in the first game. She pitched well enough to win. Arizona just couldn't come up with the one more timely hit.
A 3-run shot turned a 2-0 Arkansas lead to a 3-2 Cat advantage back in the 4th.
What's really impressed me about Netz's plate appearance, especially in that 7th inning of the first game and the home run in her most recent at bat, is her patience. She really forced Arkansas's pitchers to come to her with the ball that was on the inner third of the plate, or the middle third of the plate rather, and she was able to hammer it for home runs.
Of course, she batted and pitched in game 1. She ended up taking the loss. She almost had a chance to help make herself a winner by getting a home run. This was the 3-run shot earlier in the game.
And it was on a curveball that didn't break, very similar to the home run that she hit in game number 1. She smokes that down the line.
Does.
But her power, that ball, that curveball is coming in on the inner third, and it's breaking over to the outer third of the plate. They haven't broken enough, and she has been able to take those balls to deadaway center and to right center field. So she's letting that ball travel, squaring it up where it's hitting the meatiest part of her bat, and just using that power to send it out of the park.
Hard not to think about a 3-homer game when you've had a pair already. But she's not the only one thinking about a 3rd home run. Turner doesn't want to see her hit a 3rd. She's
No.
working every possible parameter of the zone. Stay away from the heart of the plate. (3-2). Hit hard outside of the bag and down the line again.
Arizona's made much better adjustments in this game. They really struggled in game number 1 against Dels to make the adjustments, to time up the balls, to really react to the break, and they've done a lot better job being patient and not biting on pitchers' pitches, which has forced Arkansas's pitchers to give them hitters' pitches.
Another payoff, another foul ball back.
And as a hitter, there are pitches that you don't necessarily want to hit. You are trying to foul them off. I think of Derek Jeter for the New York Yankees was the best baseball player I've ever seen in terms of fouling off pitches that were marginal and working himself into something that he wanted.
It's an art form. It really is. Most hitters aren't good enough to spoil a pitch without swinging and missing.
With Jeter, is all about that little tap, push, foul. In softball, it's a lot more kind of just swing it and get it. It's a more of a full swing than it is a tap, but as long as you can get it out of play and just get it away from you and work to the next pitch.
That is ball 4. Netz says, what? It is? Oh, I've got to take my base. She wins the battle, albeit with a walk.
And sometimes you get so engrossed in the battle that's going on that you forget what the count actually is.
She might have thought she could just stay up there and swing until she hits a home run. I don't know.
Well, with the way that she's swinging it today, it's a pretty good argument.
Ellie Blanchard's going to run it first.
And now batting for the Wildcats, number 23, Logan Cole.
Another one of the pitchers, and a Rhode Island native. Logan Cole will bat. And you have to wonder if this is a sacrifice situation where you're trying to advance the pinch runner into scoring position. and build towards a lead.
I wouldn't call it a pure sacrifice because you have someone with incredible speed at the plate like Logan Cole. I think you're looking at it more as if it turns into a sacrifice, that's fine, but let's put a little pressure on the defense. Maybe we can sneak away something here.
Nobody out in the 6th. There's Blanchard. Get her some sleeves over there first. Two and one. Turner in relief of Heron with 3 1/3. Ground ball back to the circle. Now there's one play. That's first. Blanchard advances to second on the ground out.
That would have been a tough play for Turner anyway to collect and try to go to second base. And it's a good thing that Turner made that play because Foreman was going behind. She was already ranging towards second. So had Turner not knocked that ball down, that very likely could have been an infield hit because there was nobody in that 3-4 hole.
Ball got to her so quickly that had she fielded it cleanly, she would have had an option, but that may very well have been the play anyhow. So here is DiNardo, who's going to hit for Pacho. So Coach Lowe breaking out that lineup card. She doesn't have many options with 18 total players, but you better be able to do a little bit of everything. Well, that'll be a freebie. To the backstop, wild pitch. Kind of a free trip around the bases now for Blanchard.
Arkansas has given Arizona a lot of help in this game. The Wildcats have hit the ball better, but the drop third strike, the hit by pitch, a wild pitch now puts Blanchard in scoring position. The Razorbacks have shot themselves in the foot a couple of times.
It has not helped. Not against a good team. It's not always possible to walk that tightrope and get safely to the other side. DiNardo had the big home run in a win against Virginia Tech in Florida. Went 1 for 3 in our first game. That pops the glove over the outside corner. I think Turner would be the hardest thrower of these Razorback pitchers. And this might be a situation where if you could find a way to get a strikeout, you'd certainly take it with another runner just 60 feet away. On the ground is short. I'm surprised that ball was kicked by Rio. I'm surprised Blanchard didn't try and score. Once that ball wasn't directly at short, but Rio, I think, was taking a peek to see if she was coming and didn't field it cleanly.
That's exactly what Rio was doing. She was tracking Blanchard the entire way instead of looking that ball into her glove because of the threat of Blanchard breaking. That ball really wasn't, it was in between speeds, and it just very clearly the turn of the head, checking Blanchard at third. That ball wasn't quite slow enough for Blanchard to break, but it also didn't get to Rio very quickly. It was kind of a weird speed.
Beal will send one foul down the line and left. Yeah, it's one of those where you can make an argument it's between speeds or decisions. But, you know, if I'm at third base, my thought is I got to go on that. If that ball's right at the shortstop or right at the third baseman, I understand it. But if it's at second or first, I'm going to put the pressure on the defense and try and make them throw me out at the plate. But that's an error on Rio instead, so there's runners on the corners.
My thought is I'm listening to my base coach because I don't want to get yelled at if I make the wrong decision.
That's true. Two-strike pitch. Is that a swing? Beal able to hold back, and it's 1-2. Turner again in position where she'd love a strikeout.
That was a good hold by Beal because that was a really good pitch.
Can Turner get the K? Close again.
Turner really trying to work that outside edge, trying to force that ball on the left side so they can hold Blanchard at third. Just not biting that ball, and it's another close pitch.
2-2 to Beal. And now she's gone from 0-2 to full. Tell you what, Beal has just resisted going after that pitch just a little bit off that outside corner.
Yeah, it's fantastic patience because those balls didn't miss by very much.
And 4 straight miss to load the bases. Arizona has not had a hit this inning, but the bases are loaded. It's been a walk, a wild pitch, and Aaron another walk.
Now batting number 24.
Spencer Prigge was the first Razorback into the circle to kind of give a glove tap and a word of encouragement, and now Arkansas circling up. It does, in some ways, take some pressure off the defense because now you have a force at any bag. Obviously, you want to try to cut the runner at home in this situation. You don't want to give Arizona the opportunity to blow this game open here in the 6th inning.
Yeah, you do not. But the Hogs have put themselves in a position. That's a cold
They
lead
have.
at third base where one big swing could do a lot of damage.
If I'm Altmaier, I'm not swinging until Turner can at least throw me one solid strike after seeing her throw 4 straight balls.
Especially away to a lefty, and she's kind of crowding that plate with her hands too. Up and out.
5 straight misses by Turner.
Been in that same spot. And again, these lefties, what they've tried to do is force you to work on that outside corner. Ground ball to second. Can they get 2? There's a tag. Not a time at first. Altmaier able to beat it to get a run in. Foreman made the daring play to tag out Beal and then tried to throw to Halverson to get the DP to end the inning.
That was close at first.
Batting number 30, Blaze
Turner induces the ground out. Foreman has to chase and then has to steady herself. That's close.
It's a 5-2 Wildcat lead, so Altmaier get an RBI out of that, so the Cats have scored a run without the benefit of a hit. I think that's the right play to make, though, by Foreman. She just had Beal kind of leaning just enough to throw her out of her rhythm.
And Beal made a little, call that like a C cut almost, like you would be turning a base, but she made a little C around the base path just far away enough that she was able to get that throw over to first to be a split second late.
Runners on the corners now for the top of the lineup in Behringer. 5 runs on 3 hits for the Wildcats. 2 runs on 5 hits for the Razorbacks. Behringer fouled one off her foot.
That never feels good.
Just about knocked her down.
You know, a lot of times you'll see players wear kind of that shin guard with the flap that comes down on the inner part of the shoe, especially if they have, you know, the quick hands on the inside and they foul a lot of balls off the handle. That's exactly where that ball came down, right kind of on the inside spot of your big toe.
A little knob right there.
Yep.
She showed us where it hit, and she's trying to laugh it off. Nobody was better at that than Taylor Ellsworth last year. She would take this brutal shot and she'd just laugh, just as if maybe that would make the pain go away.
Whatever works, right?
I'm not sure that does work, though. I mean, I guess if you could try it.
Now watch it run in on the hands and then directly, it's gonna go right into that front foot and ankle. Ooh, done that too many times to count.
That's a wave and a miss. Behringer was out of that sequence, but another run comes home for the Wildcats. Arkansas has a lot of work to do. Foreman, Kramer, and Prigge in the bottom of the 6th. Arkansas down 3. Well, lost in some of the chaos of all these base runners in this 5-2 Arizona lead is the nice job that Summerdike has done since coming on in relief.
Well, Summerdyke has really challenged these Arkansas hitters. She's gotten a lot of fly balls. She's been working primarily up in the zone, and Arkansas hasn't gotten a lot of good contact. There's a lot of backspin on the ball, coming off of the ball, and it's resulting in the high pop-ups that are getting a little bit into the outfield, but there's not a whole lot of traction.
Christina Foreman has singled and reached on a fielder's choice. She has one of the 5 Arkansas hits. That's a strike right around the knees to Foreman.
After working so much up in the zone, Summerdyke can come now back on the interior with the curveball because Arkansas is looking up, 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 and that leaves the corners low, vulnerable.
Foreman trying to get on to kickstart something here in the bottom of the 6th. Pretty good swing, but fouled right back. Hard hit, but foul.
Quick moves of the ump.
Yes.
Whew. I just like he was so nonchalant, just a little hip move. Didn't even move the feet.
That's all he had time for.
Yeah. A lot of times though, Brett, you know this, that ball seems to be moving slower than it is when it's coming directly at you.
He looks cold too. Another fly ball, playable for Altmaier, now drifts in with the winds picking up a bit. And Foreman retired. That's 3 straight fly ball outs. All 3 outfielders for Arizona made plays. Well, we knew we were going to have a big-time matchup. This is home opener as Reagan Kramer steps up. It's also the 15th year of Bogle Park, so it's hard to believe this thing's been around 15 years. First time we've ever had 2 ranked teams for a home opener. Arkansas walked off the Wildcats 3-2 in game 1. Arizona trying to respond and take game 2. Arkansas beginning to run out of outs. 50th pitch for Summerdyke in relief. Silva started.
And considering the trajectory of Arkansas softball in recent years, I don't think this will be the last top 20 matchup that will be a season opener at home.
No, but you know how the season works, right? You have a chance to go to Clearwater, maybe you go to Mexico, which Arkansas is fond of for good reason, or you go to Vegas, and you try and get out of here as early as you can, and then when you come back, you'd really like to play some handful of games where you could kind of rack up some wins and start accumulating some W's.
Before you really get into that teeth of conference play.
Before you have to play the teams that you're required to battle in the SEC, where you can't schedule around that.
And scheduling non-conference is a chess match. And obviously you have the tournaments where you want to go and test yourself, but you also want to schedule the you want to schedule the non-conference games where they're winnable. You want to have ones that look good to the committee that help your RPI, but you don't want to schedule too many that you might lose because then it's going to negatively impact you. So how do you weigh that balance of how many ranked matchups do we want to play, and what are the teams that we can play in the non-conference that we should win but aren't so easy that it's going to negatively impact us?
Yeah, it's a balance. There's no doubt. It's like Hannah Kamenzind will bat. Nebraska native. She's going to hit for Prigge. Pair of sisters on this team. Well, she didn't want to do that. Scooped nicely by Pacho. She didn't want that ball to hit a second time either. Courtney Deifel comes racing out.
Immediately they want to challenge the fact that Skupin pulled her foot before the runner got to the bag. It was kind of one of those quick side steps and pulled it immediately away, and you have to make sure as a fielder that you establish. So watch the left foot of Skupin. As she's watching Kamenzen come down the line. They're
Well, I
saying
think it's
that
in time.
I think it is in time too.
Here's the problem. The runner's way on the left side of that line. You know why she's getting out of the way? She's getting out of the way because Kamenzen is not in the runner's box.
Right, not in the runner's lane.
I think it's the right call.
I think it is the right call too. You know, in real time, it looks closer, but you can clearly see that ball is in the glove, and Skupin's left foot is still making contact with the bag. All it has to do is be in the glove, be secured, and you have to have any portion of your foot on the bag. And to me, that happened there.
And again, if I'm her, I'm doing the exact same thing. I feel like I'm going to get rolled up on immediately.
Right, because I mean, you have to give the runner a clear path to the bag, but that's what the runner's lane is there for.
That's what it's there for. Had that ball hit the runner, then she would have been out, and Kramer would have been sent back to first.
Well, there has been a conversation in recent years about potentially going to those safety bags.
I think
you
it's
have
coming.
the orange safety bag in the runner's lane to avoid exactly those type of things where the fielders can field safely. The runners have a lane to get to, so you avoid some of those collisions and potential injuries.
Arkansas would really like to get at least a run back. 2 outs in Rio batting. They want to be in a position where a base runner brings the tying run to the plate, but down to their final 4 outs. Drilled to left and caught by Kennedy.
What a snag by Kennedy out in left field. She got a fantastic jump on that ball, read it all the way, and then got the edge of her glove underneath the ball just in time to make the catch. Watch Kennedy read this ball. This is a sinking liner. It's tailing away. The jump, the timing, the snag. That is one of the best catches out in left field that you're going to see.
Well, there is. There's bear down everywhere on that thing. They're from Tucson. They might need about 4 of those blankets. But you make a great play and you lead off the next inning. Happens in softball too. Here's Kennedy. She made the play to save a run. She's not been real confident on a few of the high fly balls, but without much time to think and just react, she made the diving catch to end last inning.
A lot of times that's how it is. Those high fly balls, you have so much time to think that you're second guessing yourself, you're questioning, you're waiting for it to come down, and that was a nasty pitch. But on those ones where you have to react, there is no time to think, you just do.
Remember, Kennedy walked to begin the 4th inning against Herring. At that time, Arkansas had a 2-0 lead, and then it went single, wild pitch, strikeout, 3-run homer. Before the inning was over, 4 had scored. It's a foul bunt. Turner up over 60 now in the pitch count in relief. This event will continue over the weekend. This will be our last telecast. There's baseball going on. There's SEC Indoor Track Championships. There's basketball on Sunday. There's everything in this overlap time. On the ground, past Foreman, base hit. So Kennedy, with her 2nd hit, she's been on base 3 times and kickstarts the 7th inning for the Wildcats.
Kennedy just continues to find ways to get on base in game number 2. That ball running in on her hands. It wasn't hit the hardest, but it was in the right place. Foreman gave a nice chase, laid out that ball in the inner half of the plate, and Kennedy just able to get the barrel around. It was a little bit in and off the hands, but it doesn't always have to be solid to be effective.
No, and Foreman almost got the glove there. Here's Skaggs, hard hit, base hit again. Skaggs has her 2nd of game 2. Just like that, the Cats have 2 runners on and nobody out.
And that's how the top of the 4th inning went as well. Kennedy walked, Skaggs had a hard hit single, and that kind of opened up the doors. And now back-to-back singles on 2 pitches that have caught, to be honest, just too much of the plate. And Arizona's been able to take it right back up the middle.
So each team now with 5 hits. Here's Skupin. She struck out all 3 times in this game.
Well, Skupin's got a steady diet of off-speed here in game number 2, and she's been caught out on her front foot a lot.
So she struck out 5 times and also had that big double in the 7th inning of game 1 before the homer. It's an Arizona team that hit 520 after their first 5 games. So you know they have the potential to do some damage. This might be a double play, and a high throw pulled Halverson off the bag. Rio had time to step and throw, but it was a little bit high, and Halverson jumped up. I think she's saying she applied the tag. With the naked eye, I thought Skupin was safe.
I thought the same thing. It looked like Skupin was safe. I did not see Halverson make contact. So it's a hard hit ball. Rio has time. The throw is high, and again, from that angle, it looks like there is some daylight between Skupin's jersey and the tag from Halverson. It looked like it was just a split second late.
I thought so too.
Now give you credit for trying to sell it. You may as well argue your case. It doesn't hurt you anything.
We don't have our full complement of cameras tonight, so I don't believe replay in effect. So it's the old-fashioned way, where you go out there and you ask for a conversation with the umpires. But it would take something really egregious, I think, for an umpire to overrule his counterparts.
And I didn't see anything that would warrant it being overturned. There's been a couple of close plays at first, but on both accounts, if this call stands, I think they have been the correct call.
It's a longer conversation than I thought we might get. That's the case, though. You've got to get that throw to the place where you can be on time to get a double play to help out your pitcher. How about that?
I am surprised that they decided to overturn that call.
And you can imagine Caitlin Lowe not one bit pleased.
No, I can't imagine that Coach Lowe is happy about that. You see the conversation with the home plate umpire. And I wonder if they decided to overturn it because where the umpire was that initially made the call in relation can't see the back of the jersey. He's off to the side. But I'm quite frankly, I'm surprised that they overturned that.
I mean, you could understand maybe if it's an egregious miss where you get help, but that looked bang, bang, and I think we both thought naked eye, real time, out.
That's why we're up here and they're down there.
Well, the Razorbacks will clearly take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Devin Netz is at the plate, and now I'd be tempted. We should have put her on, and we're going to take this back and look one more time.
So the home plate umpire is the
she's
only person.
80 feet
She's
away.
looking down the line. I mean, but she's the only one that's looking in that general direction that would have an angle to overturn that call.
She's 80 feet away.
I didn't say it was. It was the closer look. I said it's the only look
No,
down the.
That's right.
But
she wasn't even drifting to first base.
no,
she
she
was
was
near the
over
backstop.
here in the potential for a run coming home.
Would you pitch to Netz?
Nope.
I wouldn't either, and that's a long, loud out. And the inning ends. Well, is there a little bit of momentum for the Razorbacks after that bizarre top of the 7th inning? Top of the lineup in the bottom of the 7th. Well, look who's in the circle. Who's game 1 starter, Devin Netz, who's done a lot of damage with their bat. Now she's trying to pick up a save. Reagan Johnson in. She is singled and tripled. She's going to roll one to the right side. Skaggs will field quickly and retire Johnson. So Netz gets one out on one pitch to shorten this game.
Big out from Netz and great work in the field from Skaggs to get that ball over to first quickly. Johnson has caused problems with her speed all night long, and coming in relief in the bottom of the 7th in a game where Arkansas, you've already had the crazy first inning. You want to get that first out fast.
Here's Gamble, the game 1 hero, but Arkansas needs 3 to tie, 4 to win. Remember, it was this duo, Netz and Gamble, that ended the first game. Hannah ripped one to the right center. It went as a single, but it took a couple of bounces and got up off the fence. But it scored Johnson with the game-winning run. So she's pitched in both games and she's homered in both games. That's it.
That's a
Other
pretty
than
good
that,
day.
Yeah,
Yeah, other than that.
not a lot going on. Didn't miss by much, maybe out. 3-0.
And that's not wanting to make a mistake to Gamble. Been a little up, been a little out, trying to force her to chase, but doesn't want to give a ball that catches too much of the plate for Gamble to drive.
Even on 3-0, you could see where she wasn't going to just serve up a cookie.
No, that ball on the outer third of the plate, Gamble, red light all the way, 3-0 in this situation, not going to swing at a 3-0 pitch.
On the ground, sharply hit, Beal from her backside. How about the scoop by Scoop In for out 2?
Phenomenal dig over there at first by Scoopin, the stretch laterally, and then the hand-eye coordination to watch that ball into the glove to make sure you snag it. That is a high-level defensive play. It's a hard-hit ball. It's a good job by Beal to get to it, to throw a little bit off the mark, and the lateral stretch. It's much easier to go forward, to have that kind of flexibility to go to the side. Wow.
That's a glittery headband, too.
I like it. We didn't have glitter headbands when I played.
Well,
I kind of wish we did.
That's kind of shiny. Bear
I
down.
know.
Ryland Hedgecock, the last chance for the Hogs. She's 0 for 3 here in our nightcap. These teams will meet one more time. It'll be tomorrow, 3 p.m. Another play for Beal. And that will end the game. The Arizona Wildcats bounce back with a 5-2 win in the nightcap.
Arizona coming out with a mission to prove at the plate. Wildcats much more disciplined in their swings. They made better contact. The big 4-run inning in the top of the 4th. Arkansas, for their part, though, they left 7 runners on base in this game. They had opportunities, and then they made a couple of miscues in the field, and that made all the difference.
Sure did. Handshakes and high fives. Nets, what a performance to get the save in the second game, but also have the big 3-run homer, which gave the Wildcats the lead. Well, for Dorian Kraft and our entire crew, I'm Brett Dolan, thanking you for watching. Hogs win the first game 3-2. Wildcats take the nightcap 5-2. So long and good night from Bogle Park in Northwest Arkansas.